Hey, my name's Nick. Today, stretching. How important is it? Lots of people seem to think it's pretty important. Obviously, yoga people think it's only marginally less important than air or water. And ask anyone running in the park, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, gotta stretch, man. Don't wanna pull a hammy. Even the people who don't stretch, you ask them, either, they lie, they like, oh, yeah, of course I stretch. Huh, you think I'd be out here if I didn't know I'm supposed to stretch? Or they seize up like you've caught them in some kind of carnal sin, like, oh, no, I don't. I know I should. Please, I promise, I'll do better next time. I'll go home. I'll stretch right now. But is it overrated? Yes, I think it probably is. Burn me at the stake as a yoga and wellness heretic, but I have pretty good reasons. We'll get into those in a second. It's not all bad. There are some good reasons to stretch. We'll talk about the reasons you probably think stretching is important and why those reasons are bogus. And I'll have some ideas as we go along to what you might be doing instead to get those benefits. But first, like and subscribe. If you have questions you've always wanted to ask a yoga teacher, leave a comment below and we'll get to them. So, what are some good things about stretching? First, and most importantly, I think we need to recognize that stretching just feels good. It's one of the most pleasurable embodying activities you can do. Like, when you wake up in the morning on Sunday, it's late, the sun is coming through the window, it's warm, you stretch. Oh, so good. I mean, do you really need another reason to want to do it? It's good for itself. It's one of the few really pleasurable experiences in life that has absolutely zero guilt. So, leaving that aside, the second reason you might want to stretch or follow some kind of maybe organized stretching program is if you lack range of motion. One of the things stretching does do, usually, is increase range of motion. And, well, if you can't move your body well enough to do the things you want to do, then, yeah, stretching and moving that part of your body might help. The third reason to stretch, if you are pursuing some kind of discipline, physical discipline that basically revolves around being very mobile. Different kinds of yoga, for example, Cirque du Soleil style contortionism, gymnastics. It's not going to make you a better person, and arguably, it's not going to make you better at much else. But hey, if you want to put your foot behind your head, then yeah, you've got to train for that. So there might be some other good reasons to stretch, but I want to move on to the things that stretching is probably not going to do for you. These are the reasons that people often follow some kind of organized, dedicated stretching program, and it's not all that it's cracked up to be. At the top of that list, stretching to warm up and prevent injury. The thinking here is that stretching and increasing range of motion before you do an activity is going to prevent a pulled muscle or shin splints or knee pain or whatever it is. And we just don't have the evidence that it actually does. To the contrary, a meta-analysis published in the Clinical Journal of Sports Medicine found no significant reduction in total injuries with stretching. I'll link the study in the description below. You can check it out. But preventing injuries is something we should be concerned with. So to that end, instead of stretching to warm up, try just doing a lighter version of the activity you plan to do. Running slowly is the best warm-up for running faster. Doing a lighter deadlift is the best warm-up for doing a heavier deadlift. So sure, include some stretches. Stretches feel good. Include them if you want to, but just know that it's not the thing that's going to be keeping you safe. Our next stretching myth. Stretching will help you recover from a workout. So, for example, you do a hard workout or an intense yoga class and you're sore the next day, maybe for the next 2 days. What's the recommendation you most often hear? Stretch. The thinking, I guess, is that stretching will help alleviate some of the DOMS, the delayed onset muscle soreness. When I was in elementary school, our PE teacher told us that we were sore after she made us run because lactic acid had built up in our muscles, and I guess like stretching was supposed to help squeeze it out. I don't know. Anyway, we now know that lactic acid doesn't stay in the muscles nearly that long, certainly not the 2 days you might be sore after. DOMS is just inflammation and damage to the muscle tissues like you would expect from, exercising. And stretching, as it turns out, is not going to hasten your recovery. One 2011 meta-analysis of 12 studies measuring the effects of stretching on muscle soreness after exercise found that stretching reduced muscle soreness between 1 to 4 points out of 100. So, yeah, technically a significant amount, statistically significant, but I mean, come on, not that much. Anyway, if you want to reduce DOMS after exercising, what should you do? I don't know, ibuprofen, maybe, if it's really bad, or arnica, some other kind of hot, cold, topical rub, sleep. Honestly, DOMS will get better on its own. Just rest and give it a couple days. All right, stretching myth number 3. This is the last one we're going to talk about. Stretching is good for muscle pain. I mean, not like pain from exercising, but muscle pain, like you've got a back spasm, back pain, hip pain, the kind of thing you would go to see a massage therapist or a physical therapist or a chiropractor about, that kind of pain. Stretching is usually one of the top recommendations, both among those professionals and, the random guy you met at the sauna in your health club. I think this one's tough. I think it's probably at least plausible that it helps sometimes. I've worked with enough people hands-on, one-on-one, and seen stretching help things like back pain and hip pain occasionally. But I'm including it here as one of these myths because it's definitely not the cure that it gets credit for. And the typical advice, like, if your muscle hurts, you should stretch it, is actually maybe doing more harm than good, especially if it's an acute injury. If it's an acute injury, you just hurt yourself, you probably just need rest. So, not all muscle pain needs to be stretched. In fact, if someone came to me about a pain they have, unless the pain in question is in a muscle that also has a limited range of motion, I probably wouldn't insist on stretching it. Luckily, there are things you can do. If you have a mysterious muscle pain, the first thing is to make sure that you're covering your bases and following the best practices for treating musculoskeletal pain. You can download the list here. It's free. I'll leave a link in the description. You can also pretty effectively treat muscle spasms, painful muscle knots at home if you have the know-how and a couple of easy-to-find props like tennis balls and a sock. If you want more information on that, then see the link in the description. All right, I think that's it for me. Stay well, and I'll see you next time.